So, Pete Rock and Common have a new album, Auditorium Volume 1. Pete Rock, he is very prominent in the music space. He's a very big producer, produced for a ton of different artists. You probably know quite a few of them. And he rose to fame in the early 90s as part of Pete Rock and CL Smooth. You probably know them from They Reminisce Over You. He's got a lot of, soulful beats, very innovative samples, and quite a bit of record scratching. He's quite a staple in the East Coast scene. And then Common is from Chicago, again started in the 90s, and his 2005 album B is extremely critically acclaimed, and is actually one of the first hip-hop albums I ever heard. So they both got quite a bit of critical acclaim and quite loyal fan bases. This album obviously came on a very packed Friday, as Friday often is, but personally this is the one I was most excited for. So yeah, let's just get into it. This album feels like a time capsule of the 90s. Obviously, Pete Rock and Common both getting the start in the 90s, and so it makes sense that they would pull a lot of different aspects from that, but this album feels extremely 90s coded. So it feels very dated, but in a good way. And let me explain. The beats are like a mix of Jay-Z, Black Star, The Roots, just these incredible artists all put into one. I think that actually Black Star had a lot of influence on these beats, because when I listen to them, I could 100% hear Black Star on top of these. I think it is dated, but in a way that takes you back to the 90s. Instead of acting like the past 20 years didn't happen, instead they try to take you back to the 90s with the beat, but still talk about more recent issues, and also issues that have been talked about, since the 90s. It brings a huge sense of nostalgia to the album, for sure. Nostalgia is a powerful thing, but personally, I was not around in the 90s. And so it does have a sense of nostalgia, but instead of nostalgia for albums that I like from the 90s, like Black Star, Common's verses are, consistently solid throughout the album. As I would expect from Common. Common is a very, like I said, critically acclaimed artist, and B has some incredible verses on it. Overall, it's a pretty serious record, I'd say. The lyrics reflect that for the most part. Common doesn't have the most complex style. You're not going to get a ton of, double, triple, quadruple entendres from him, all these crazy flows, but he is very quality in his rapping style. I think that he takes a lot from what he has listened to and added to a lot of his own work, and what he listened to is a lot of 90s and 2000s rap, and so a lot of the times they have somewhat of a slower cadence, and he does. His lyrics, like I said, are somewhat coded in the 90s and early 2000s, but I think overall, the actual words being said are quite timeless, and his flow, I think, is quite timeless despite being influenced heavily by those eras. The features on this thing, really, really good. Bilal's contributions to this album are nothing short of just incredible. His soulful voice and emotive delivery are just, whoa, they're just great. They're incredible. He does really, really well on his song. So I honestly would be very up for a Common Bilal collab, or if he was featured as well on Volume 2, which I assume is coming out eventually. We don't know when, but we assume Volume 2 is coming out eventually. Common met Bilal while they were in the Soulquarians, which, amazing collective, by the way. D'Angelo's in that, a ton of other people are, a ton of great producers. Anyway, but it makes sense that they work so well together, and they work well on the same kind of beats. Jennifer Hudson on this is also surprisingly quality. So I saw that feature at first, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how she's gonna really work with the vibe of the album, but she works pretty well. She's on A God There Is, and I thought that she actually did a good job, but I thought that she could have had a more emotional performance. I felt like she was kind of out of it. She could have just had a little bit of something to make her voice feel more powerful. I think it would have just elevated it that little bit, but she still did a good job. I'm pleasantly surprised. Obviously, Pete Rock's production is a testament to his continued and almost constant quality. He has a lot of love for 90s hip-hop, obviously, as I keep saying, but he does understand the current music landscape and understands how to add some new elements, but still make an album that feels very, very coded in the 90s. And every once in a while, you'll get that little bit of hint, like, oh, this isn't quite the 90s anymore, and that he's still evolving as a producer. Posthumous De La Soul is also on this. Solid feature. It may not be my favorite on the album. That goes to Bilal. But he brings his A game. He adds a lot of good bars, good verses, and he fits pretty seamlessly into this style. And then PJ also adds this layer of chill and laid backness, which this whole album kind of has. It's not a very intense album. You could definitely put this on in the background and just listen to it and chill. And PJ adds to that and understands that that is kind of the vibe of the album. Overall, the Auditorium Volume 1, it's great. It's great. It's very, very good, and it showcases that both Common and Pete Rock are not stopping anytime soon. They're still very much on their game. I think the way that they craft this album is very, very well done. The features are very, very well chosen, and if you're looking for an album that balances introspective lyrics and important lyrics with masterful production, there's a lot out there, but for this year, this is one of the best for sure. Personally, this is my favorite album of the year so far. The score is going to be 90. Incredible album. Favorite of the year so far. You gotta check this out. And if you like 90s hip-hop, I mean, hip-hop in general, man, you have to check this out. Tell me what you think in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.